On today's Strictly Vikings, we discuss what life is like for the team without JJ McCarthy for this upcoming season. We talk about Lewis Cine and the rest of this Vikings squad after their second preseason game against the Browns. We go through our Facebook scroll of the week, as well as me letting you know my Super Mega Max Goat Whale guarantees for this upcoming week and the Vikings' third preseason game against the Eagles. And of course, we ended off with our random ChatGPT player of the day. Let's get into it. Today is Wednesday, August 21st, and Minnesota Vikings fans are going through it. JJ McCarthy is out for the season. Last episode, I discussed on the possibility of JJ McCarthy missing the entire season and how the Vikings should actually just let it happen instead of trying to rush him back for a season that most likely the Vikings won't be in the mix for anything. We were discussing the partial tear and the full tear and how he could be back in 3 to 5 weeks or 3 to 6 months. And obviously, it is the 3 to 6 month range, and that will put him out for the remainder of the season, which sucks. I was really looking forward to seeing JJ McCarthy this season. It was one of the few things that I was really keen on for this upcoming season. JJ McCarthy hitting his stride towards the end of this year, going into next year. It's not a new thing for him to start in an NFL game. He knows what it's like playing on the road, what it's like playing in US Bank Stadium, the environment of an NFL game, the preparation it takes. It's a lot of things. And it's a lot of things that JJ McCarthy is going to be missing this season, which is a very big letdown for the Vikings. However, Sam Darnold was going to be the starter to start the season, and that remains the same, obviously. Nick Mullins will take on that backup role now that JJ McCarthy cannot. And the Vikings signed Matt Corral, who, honestly, after Jaren Hall's performance that I will get into in a little bit here, I don't think he'll make the team. I think Jaren Hall probably played himself into a spot on this team, just more familiar with the offense, better fit in the locker room with the guys. And I'm not trying to bash Matt Corral, but if you have a third string quarterback that, one, knows the offense, two, knows the people inside the locker room, instead of a guy who's just coming in on 5 days ago, and he doesn't know anyone or anything about this team, you're going to go with the guy who knows everything about that playbook. So I expect Jaren Hall to make the team as that third string quarterback. Thursday was just one of the hardest days for the Vikings fans. They got the news that JJ McCarthy was out for the season. Jordan Addison went out with an ankle injury and the joint practice against the Browns. And honestly, we didn't know until after practice that Jordan Addison, it was an ankle injury and that it's not a season-long thing, but he could miss the first couple games. Very disappointing, and it feels like the Vikings just really can't catch a break right now in this cursed season that hasn't even started. The Vikings lost a cornerback to death, lost another cornerback for the season due to a torn ACL, and now they just lost their rookie quarterback for the entire year. First rookie quarterback to miss his entire rookie season since 1967, and of frickin' course, it's the Minnesota Vikings. You can't make that up. You literally cannot make that up. Of course it's happening to us, because why would it happen to any other franchise in the NFL besides the Minnesota Vikings? Of course it is us. That's just the most Minnesota Vikings thing to happen. Leading me to my next point, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, you need to pick up the phone and call Tom Brady. I mean, you're actually not doing your job if you haven't even picked up the phone and tried to call him. I don't care if you don't have his number. You find his number and just call him. Tom, do you want to come play? There's a spot here. The worst he's going to say is, no. But that's fine because you gave it a shot. What if he's just sitting there in his backyard next to his big pool with his kids, and the kids are splashing him with the water, and he's like, just God, I hate these kids. No, he wouldn't say that, but he's just like, I don't want to be here. I wish I was in training camp, blah, blah, blah. And then Queste Dofo-Mensa picks up. He's just waiting for a call. Queste Dofo-Mensa calls, yo, Tom, get out here in Minnesota, TCL Performance Center. Let's ball out. Let's win a Super Bowl for this franchise. You'll go down as literally the greatest quarterback of all time. No debate. You can't, he is the GOAT right now, but you wouldn't be able to debate it. He won a Super Bowl for a team that's never won a Super Bowl in a cursed season. That is GOAT stuff. So Queste Dofo-Mensa, if you haven't already, pick up the phone, call Tom Brady, just give it a chance. You're really not doing your job if you don't give Tom Brady a call, because you never know. And the things that Tom Brady is saying, he just joined YouTube. He said, I gotta show off and gotta let these young bucks know what they're dealing with if I decide to come back. And he might have said it in a joking manner, but I'm not going to think it's in a joking manner because I want him in purple. I want him on the Vikings. So we'll see what happens. But man, Queste Dofo-Mensa, do your job and at least call Tom Brady. Stephon Gilmore is a Minnesota Viking. Not too sure how I feel about this signing. $10 million for a corner that wasn't on a roster. And apparently he had other teams interested in him, which makes me feel a little bit better. But a guy who was just kind of sitting around waiting for a call, and then you give him $10 million. It seems a little excessive, especially if he's only going to be here 1 year. Because the thing is, if he balls out this year, he's a free agent. Does he come back? It's not guaranteed. But if he does, that's awesome. But then we got to pay him even more money, which I wouldn't be complaining about. But Stephon Gilmore is creeping up there in age. He's not in the prime of his play anymore. He got cooked by Justin Jefferson last year. He's probably going to be cooked by Justin Jefferson in practice. He probably already has. He probably is getting cooked by Justin Jefferson right now as you're listening to this. But it adds on to a very mid cornerback room with Byron Murphy, Shaquille Griffin, and Stephon Gilmore. I mean, that is the definition of mid for an NFL cornerback group. I'm not mad at the signing. It's not my money to spend, but $10 million does seem a little excessive for a 1-year deal. But maybe it's the one piece the Vikings need. I don't know. What do I know? And then the last thing I have to talk about before getting into the preseason notes, Tua Tagovailoa talking about Brian Flores. Honestly, I don't have much of a comment on this, besides the fact that Tua just sounds like he couldn't take some hard coaching. I don't think Brian Flores was really going... Again, I can't even talk on this because I don't really know what the details were and what obviously went on. But for Tua to say those things, and in case you don't know, he said he was on a podcast talking to the host. Tua said this, imagine waking up and going to your job every day and having your boss tell you that you suck and you're not made for this and you're not ready for this opportunity. That's basically what Tua said. And then he said about Mike McDaniel how it's the exact opposite and that you're perfect for this system, you throw the ball accurate, blah, 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 blah. I don't really know. Brian Flores is going to talk to Vikings media on Tuesday, the day I'm recording this. So I guess we'll have some comments from him after, but honestly, whatever happened 3 years ago, who cares? Dolphins moved on. Vikings moved on. We've all moved on. It doesn't really matter. Let's get into the Vikings preseason game notes. I got to watch this entire game. I was genuinely pleased with how the Vikings played. I was very excited about how the defense looked, how the offense looked with Kevin O'Connell not calling the plays. That gave me a lot of confidence in Wes Phillips and his ability to still be an offensive coordinator without calling the plays week by week. But of course, this was the Lewis Cine game. This will forever and will ever go down as the Lewis Cine game. And Lewis Cine was playing like his job was on the line. And for a matter of fact, his job is on the line. And he was playing like it. And I made a video saying that there was a reason Lewis Cine balled out. It was because this Vikings scheme, again, Brian Flores wasn't calling the plays, but I do believe they gave Lewis Cine a very friendly scheme to make some plays. They were sending him on blitzes. He was making some plays in the secondary. He got an interception to where a tipped ball fell in his lap. But Lewis Cine looked great. He was coming downhill, and you could see why an NFL GM would take a chance on a first-round pick like that. He looked good. He looked exciting. But I think it was all by design. I think the Vikings are trying to dump him because, one, I don't think he's going to make the 53-man roster. So they wanted to make him look good on Saturday so that they would have the opportunity to move him for 4th, 5th, 6th round pick, probably a 5th round pick, instead of just cutting your former 1st round pick. And for all you wannabe NFL GMs out there telling me, no, they're going to keep him. Harrison Hitman's going to retire next season and Lewis Cine needs to step in and play. And he was doing this against the Browns' 3rd string offense. And why haven't I seen this in any other point of his career besides a preseason game against the Cleveland Browns? Why haven't I seen it before? Oh, because he wasn't healthy. No, he was healthy last season. He just didn't play. He was inactive. There's 3 safeties in front of him that play instead of him. The Vikings are trying to dump Lewis Cine before he doesn't make the 53-man roster, and it's obvious. There's no other reason why Lewis Cine couldn't make these plays in the previous preseason game, maybe even in the preseason games last year. The Vikings are trying to dump him before they cut him, because I'm almost positive he's not going to make this 53-man roster. And honestly, I'm not trying to bash Lewis Cine, but Lewis Cine needs to go somewhere else if he wants to play. There's 3 guys ahead of him on this depth chart, and if those 3 guys are healthy, he's not going to play. And honestly, if one of them gets hurt, he might still not play. It might be another guy stepping in. It might be an extra corner. It might be an extra defensive lineman, whatever it's going to be. But point blank period, I don't think Lewis Cine is going to make this roster. And even if one of the safeties got hurt, I don't think he immediately steps in and plays. He looked great against the Cleveland Browns' 3rd string offense. Clap it up, congratulations. But Lewis Cine needs to go elsewhere to try and revitalize his NFL career. Again, I'm not trying to bash on him, but that's what I took away from the game. It seemed a little too fishy for me to just be like, oh, Lewis Cine is really good now. I don't think that happens. The Vikings have the best wide receivers in the league, point blank period. Tristan Jackson and Jalen Nailor look like solidified NFL wide receivers, and these guys are wide receiver 3 and 4 on the team. Sorry. Yes, wide receiver 3 and 4. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Nailor, Brandon Powell, Tristan Jackson, whatever it is. Even Brandon Powell got in the game later. But the Vikings might have the deepest wide receiver room in the league. Jalen Nailor had an excellent catch on the first drive of the game, came back to the ball. Honestly, if he didn't catch it, maybe could have been PI, but came back to the ball, caught it, excellent catch. And then later on that same drive, Tristan Jackson able to get in, toe tap, sideline, end zone, touchdown, great ball from Nick Mullins. It was looking great. Kene Nwagwu was looking like an actual running back out there. He was making guys miss in the hole. And honestly, he's got to be more than just a horizontal guy. He's got to be able to go vertical through the hole, and I think he's doing that. I mean, I was watching him play, and he looked like an NFL running back. And honestly, I don't know if I would be able to say that before this season, but he's looking like an NFL running back, and I think he'd be a solid running back 3 on this team. Obviously, his main role is going to be special teams, and he's not going to see a lot of reps on this offense behind Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, but you never know. He was looking good. Nick Mullins played great, but my God, was he fighting for his life out there. I think the first 20 snaps that he was in, he got hit like 12 times. He was getting absolutely smoked. And the worst thing about it, Ed Ingram started, and he was not looking good. So obviously Ed Ingram's job is up in the air if he's starting a preseason game against the Browns to where none of the other starting offensive line play. So Ed Ingram's job is up in the air. And he just didn't look good. And I mean, imagine putting Myles Garrett out there on a stunt and having Ed Ingram. Like, if he can't look good against this Browns second team, it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough year with Ed Ingram playing right guard. And I guess I saw a clip today and he said he thought he played good. His PFF grades were terrible. I don't know. Might be a rough season with him playing right guard for the Minnesota Vikings. Anyway, back to Nick Mullins. He was getting absolutely rocked. I mean, he's going to make the team no matter what. And he might not play if Sam Darnold is doing good. But God, for Nick Mullins, you just got to feel bad for the dude. Like, veteran quarterback. All right, you're starting this preseason game, and then he just gets absolutely obliterated on almost every single play. He was in there fighting. He threw a touchdown. I think he finished with like a $135, one tutty. Didn't throw any interceptions. Shocker. That's not the Nick Mullins ball I know. But he played great. Thought he looked good. Good backup quarterback to have. Brian Asamoah changing his number is probably the best thing that could have happened to him. Going from number 33 to number 2 was the best decision Brian Asamoah could have made for his NFL career. He looks like an actual baller now. I don't know what it was about 33. I think it could have been maybe looks a little bit like Delvin Cook, but the switch from 33 to 2, he looks like a legit NFL linebacker. I was genuinely pleased with how his swag looked out on the field. I was very pleased with how Brian Asamoah was looking. And Myles Gaskin plays for the Minnesota Vikings. I thought I would just throw this in here because I genuinely kind of forgot he's still on the Vikings. He was looking speedy. Again, he's probably behind Kene Nwagwu. Who knows if he makes this team. But I mean, that's all I got really on Myles Gaskin. He plays for the Vikings. I kind of forgot about that. But anyway, the preseason game, it went well. Vikings won. Lots of interceptions. You love to see the defense flying around, playing like that, especially with Brian Flores not calling the plays. And the Vikings are 2-0 in the preseason. You know what that means. I don't know what that means, but 2-0 in the preseason. They got some momentum heading into week 3 into Philly. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. I'll do my side-eye look around the league here. Mahomes behind the back pass. What the fuck? I mean, pardon my French, but a behind the back pass should be illegal. That's taunting. That's too cool of a play to have in an NFL preseason game, and I get he's probably not going to do it in a regular season game, but geez, that behind the back pass was different. Caleb Williams makes some plays. Congrats to him and the Bears. I mean, preseason, who would ever overreact to preseason games? Couldn't be me. Greg Joseph, 0 for 1 on field goals for the Green Bay Packers. I bet you guys forgot about Greg Joseph. He plays for the Green Bay Packers, and he went 0 for 1 for the Packers. I mean, the Packers might have to move on. Not overreacting to preseason games, because who would ever do that? But the Packers need to move on from Greg Joseph. 0 for 1, unacceptable. Bo Nix, a lot of talk about him potentially getting drafted to the Vikings. He looks like an actual NFL quarterback to me. He looks a lot bigger in an NFL uniform than I was expecting. I think the Oregon uniform just made him look a little bit small, but Bo Nix looked like an actual quarterback. And my last note for my side-eye look around the league, Jamar Chase has still not been paid, which Vikings fans, we need to thank Justin Jefferson because he made this a hassle-free contract negotiation for the team, for the fans, no drama. got it done. We're not holding in. We're not holding out. He's playing. He's on this team. He's mic'd up for the games. He's excited to be in Minnesota. And that's awesome to hear. And that's why I just want to say thank you, because Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb still haven't gotten their contracts. So shout out Justin Jefferson. All right. I will be right back with the Vikings Facebook scroll of the week. All right, first up for the Vikings Facebook scroll of the week. Again, I'm not going to do names, but if you want to see who posted it, head over to Vikings Facebook, join a couple groups. You'll be able to see who posted it. A torn meniscus is an injury that will plague him his whole career. Speaking from experience, it's a season ender. Should have went with a proven, durable guy like May/Nix. Clearly, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. First of all, a torn meniscus is an injury that will plague him for his whole career. Considering it's an injury that you can recover from, that a normal human being can go get meniscus surgery and walk on it literally right after surgery. That's how durable this injury is. Obviously, you're not going to push a 21-year-old quarterback who's going to take a lot of shots to the knee in his career. You don't want to push him to do anything he's uncomfortable with, and you don't want to risk him at re-injuring it and re-injuring it. They did the complete surgery. I'm pretty sure it's not going to nag him for his entire career. Also, when he says speaking from experience, was he a former NFL quarterback that I have no idea who it is? I don't think so. And then should have went with a proven durable guy like May/Nix. First of all, Drake May was probably the most unproven NFL prospect in this entire draft. Every single talk about Drake May heading into the draft was saying that you can't start him right away and you have to give this kid time because of how unproven and such a raw prospect that he is. So I have no idea what this dude is talking about, but it got 472 comments. You can't really get ratioed on Facebook, but my God, if you could, this is you know what? I'm going to call it. No, this dude got ratioed to hell. If your post in a group has 472 comments on it, that is ratio like hell. I found this Facebook post very interesting. Sam Darnold is going to light it up this year. If a quarterback can do this in New York in one season, imagine what the quarterback can do in Minnesota. Probably lead us to the NFC Championship and have us on the brink of a Super Bowl. New York Jets, 16 starts, 9-7 record, 65.7% completion percentage, 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, 30 sacks, 10 fumbles. That's Hall of Fame worthy shit. Okay, so you look at that. It's not the best season, right? That was Brett Favre's season before he joined the Minnesota Vikings. That's what Brett Favre put up as a New York Jet before he came to the Minnesota Vikings. And no, I'm not comparing Brett Favre to Sam Darnold, but it's proven that quarterbacks can come from the New York Jets or have once played for the New York Jets, go to another team, and revitalize their NFL career. And I'm aware that he's had other stops in Carolina and San Francisco, but New York, he was dealing with Adam Gase, probably one of the worst NFL coaches of all time. Then he went to the Panthers, where he was dealing with Matt Rule. And Sam Darnold actually got out to a solid start that season. But again, he's dealing with Matt Rule. Christian McCaffrey got hurt. And he wasn't set up for success in Carolina. He goes to San Francisco. He gets thrown in one completely meaningless game with no starters and plays a decent game against the Rams. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was decent. Again, a meaningless game. And now Sam Darnold is in his best situation yet, with the best weapons he's ever played with, I'm not going to say the best coach he's ever played with, but a coach that has given him the best coach he's played with as a starter. Let's put it that way. He played with Kyle Shanahan, but again, Kyle Shanahan isn't unloading all of this effort into his backup quarterback as he would in Brock Purdy. So Sam Darnold is in his best situation yet, and I can't wait to see what he does. But I thought this post was interesting because I'm like, well, I guess Sam Darnold could have done that because I wasn't paying attention to the Sam Darnold years in the Jets. I just knew he sucked. Anyway, I thought that post was interesting. Someone wrote an article. Did Jaren Hall take the Vikings quarterback 2 job from Nick Mullins on Saturday? Again, you guys just heard me rave about Nick Mullins and how good he played as a veteran in a preseason game. Really nothing to play for, as in just he's made the roster. Jaren Hall was just competing with Matt Corral for the quarterback 3 spot. So I don't know how he could jump Nick Mullins after one good throw and after a couple quarters of a preseason game. He's not going to. This is utterly ridiculous. Nick Mullins actually looked like a decent quarterback last season that could throw the ball, to where you put Jaren Hall in there a couple games and he looked completely shocked, way too far over his head. And he didn't look like an NFL quarterback the way Nick Mullins looked like an NFL quarterback. And Jaren Hall is clear-cut quarterback 3. And honestly, the J.J. McCarthy injury probably saved his job on this team. Going back to Nick Mullins, I think Nick Mullins should be the starting quarterback this year. 195 comments ratioed. The Vikings don't sign Sam Darnold for $10 million in the offseason for him not to be the starter. They didn't want to start Nick Mullins last season. They had to because Kirk Cousins got hurt. They had to because Josh Dobbs started to not play good. They don't want Nick Mullins to be the starter. I don't want Nick Mullins to be the starter. He's a very comparable backup, but Sam Darnold is a starter. He's been taking all the snaps with the ones. You're not going to switch up on that now. And Sam Darnold isn't even playing in the preseason. That's how much you know he's the starter. This is a crazy post. It's not that crazy, but it's crazy to me. Do we know what number Gilmore is wearing? Got to get that jersey ordered immediately. This is crazy. Getting a Stephon Gilmore jersey for this season is one of the most... You're going to look back at that in 10 years and you're going to think, this is the most random NFL jersey I have ever had in my life. A Stephon Gilmore Vikings jersey. This could be a 1-year stop on a very mediocre team, on a very middle-of-the-pack defense, and you're going to get a Stephon Gilmore jersey as he hasn't even played a snap with the Vikings. That is just it's a crazy move. It's a crazy spend of $130 to be like, yeah, give me that Stephon Gilmore jersey. That's sick. Maybe if you've been a Stephon Gilmore fan your entire life and now he's playing for your favorite team, it's honest, I don't know. But the first comment was, I'm guessing you have a Patrick Peterson jersey collecting dust somewhere. 1,000%. And Patrick Peterson was honestly, now that you look back at it, somewhat worth it. But still, Patrick Peterson Vikings jersey is such a random jersey to have. And it's not a jersey you're going to wear to a Vikings game in like 10 years. All the kids are going to be like, who the hell was Peterson number 7? I thought he was number 28. And the people who still wear Adrian Peterson jerseys, valid. Randy Moss jerseys, valid. Percy Harvin jerseys, valid. Everybody knows these guys. Patrick Peterson, middle of the line defender for this terrible Vikings defenses. It's, I don't know, nuts. This was another post that I thought the post isn't so crazy, but the comment is what's crazy. Someone said, I mean, even if this year's a bust, we're going to be stacked next year. That's up for debate. We'll have upwards of $100 million in cap, maybe more if the cap goes up again. We'll also have a potential top 10 pick as well. JJ should be hopefully healed and ready to ball next year. Kwesi has us in a good spot. I've been saying this for quite a while. The Vikings are in a decent spot right now. If the JJ McCarthy injury doesn't help because he can't hit that stride going into year 2. But again, the Vikings have a lot of money in cap space to bulk up the O-line, to bulk up the interior defensive line, and add a true cornerback 1 to this room. And Kwesi has us in a good spot if these draft picks, Dallas Turner, JJ McCarthy, can hit home this season. Again, McCarthy can't, but if Dallas Turner can get home, this defense is up and coming. They have one of the best defensive minds in the game coaching this up and coming defense. And of course, you have a Super Bowl ready offense just waiting for a quarterback to be implemented in it. Kwesi has us in a good spot. Top comment was, yeah, but Kwesi and Kevin will be released if the team doesn't produce this year. It's NFL, not kindergarten. One, I don't get that reference. It's the NFL, not kindergarten. That it just doesn't. I mean, you could say like it's the NFL, not pee-wee football or something like that. Kindergarten, I don't know. I don't get it. Saying that Kevin O'Connell's job is up, he's on the hot seat is ridiculous. He's got this team to outperform in his first 2 seasons. The fact that the Vikings won 7 games last year with 4 different starting quarterbacks is crazy. He had Josh Dobbs out there playing literal backyard football, not knowing any plays, and we were winning games with Josh Dobbs. It's beyond ridiculous that people think Kevin O'Connell is on the hot seat. And the last one here, are we really getting Tom Brady? 276 comments. Again, this might have been a little bit of my fault. I made a video about it, kind of amping it up. Vikings should sign Tom Brady. I mean, it's worth a look. Why not? I feel like it's at least worth a chance. But no, unfortunately, we are not getting Tom Brady. All right. That concludes Vikings Facebook Scroll of the Week. We're going to move on to my Super Mega Max Goat Whale guarantees for this upcoming preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. But first, we have to take a look at last week's. From last week, there will be a scrum at Brown/Vikings joint practice. I'm going to give this one a check only because the Vikings got hurt in almost every way possible. And I don't know if there's exactly was a scrum that went on, but my God, the entire practice looked like a scrum, the way the Vikings were dropping like flies. Jordan Addison here, Thayer Thomas here, blah, 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 whatever was going on. It seemed like an entire scrum. The entire practice did. Christian Darrisaw will make Myles Garrett his lil bro. I'm going to give that one a check too, because I saw a tweet that said Christian Darrisaw was holding his own against Myles Garrett the entire practice. We love to hear it / see it. Christian Darrisaw is a top offensive tackle in this league going up against Myles Garrett, probably the best and most impactful edge rusher in this league, and Christian Darrisaw held his own. I don't know if exactly he made him his lil bro, but that's what I was expecting, and that's what I called. And lastly, from last week, Nick Mullins will throw for 200 yards, 2 interceptions. Neither of those happened. Because it's a preseason game, I can't call anything correctly, but he threw a couple interceptions, and honestly, I don't want to be that dude, but I was low-key rooting for him to throw some interceptions because then I'm like, yeah, I called it. But he didn't. Going on to this week, the Vikings go into Philly for a preseason game. First one. The video of the dude yelling, "Go Birds!" in the Vikings lady's face will circulate again. Of course it will. Doesn't matter if it's preseason. Doesn't matter if it's a Week 18 game that nobody's playing in. That video will always circulate when the Vikings head to Philadelphia. If it's not that video, it's going to be the video of the Vikings fans walking out of the stadium and people chucking whatever at him, beer at him, food at him, whatever it is. You guys know the video I'm talking about because we've all seen it a million times. One of those videos are going to recirculate. Number 2, this isn't the same thing, but it kind of is the same thing. A video of a Vikings/Eagles fan getting into it is going to appear on my timeline on Twitter. Or it's just going to happen, but I'm going to see it. Again, preseason game. We're talking about preseason football, week 3, the last preseason week before the actual season. But Vikings and Eagles fans always find a way to get into it. And it's most of the time, it's not Vikings fans. It's just the scumbag Eagles fans. And I guarantee there's going to be 2 fans that get obliterated drunk tailgating this preseason football game, and they're going to get into it. I can guarantee it. I can make it my Super Mega Max Go Whale guarantee of the week because I know it's going to happen. Even if it's preseason game. And then KOC mic'd up third quarter. KOC is going to confess his love for JJ McCarthy. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet, but Mekhi Blackman quote tweeted a picture of Kevin O'Connell in the background just staring at JJ McCarthy smiling. And Mekhi Blackman says, man, this dude, he loves that dude. And we absolutely love to see Kevin O'Connell loving JJ McCarthy. But Kevin O'Connell is going to go on a 2.5-minute rant while he's mic'd up during the preseason game about how much he loves JJ McCarthy and how excited he is that he is on this Vikings team. So those are my Super Mega Max Goat Whale guarantees of the week. I can promise you they're going to happen because I wouldn't put anything on here that's not going to happen. I can promise you that much. The Vikings are back at TCO this week, practicing, getting ready for the Week 3 preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. There's going to be a lot of things to watch this weekend for this Vikings game, and there's going to be roster moves made based on the outcome of this game, and there's a lot of guys on the fence, a lot of guys on the fringe, and I can't wait to see what happens with this team and who makes the 53-man roster. It's going to be interesting. All right. I always say I'm going to have this pulled up, and I never do. And that is my fault. And ChatGPT is not loading. Here we go. Got it. Name the most. So I'm giving you guys more time to think about who you're going to say. Name the most random Vikings player you can think of. All right. Here we go. My guess, I forgot who I guessed last week, but I'm going to go Steve Hutchinson. Everyone got their guess? Here we go. Oh, I typed in the wrong thing. I said, name the most random Vikings player. They said, Wubba-looba-dubba-dub. Bro, what? They're actually naming just like Vikings characters. Name the most random Vikings. I can't see. Vikings football player you can think of. Here we go. Bobby Herbert. Did we already get him? I don't know. One of the more random names for the Minnesota Vikings roster is Bobby Herbert. While Herbert is better known for his time with the New Orleans Saints, he had a brief stint with the Vikings. His name stands out due to more prominent association with another team, making him a bit random choice for the Vikings. You're right, Jabichi. I'm never, ever going to get this. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Next Wednesday, new episode. Thank you, guys.